Wow, this amazing historical record, this information of the actual military tribunal for treason of a United States President, George W. Bush. We're continuing with the articles from the website realrawnews.com. Again, George W. Bush's military tribunal for treason. It does result in his hanging. That's what we're going to get to here in just a couple more episodes. But this article was posted back in December 17th of 2021. And let me start reading here. As you can see on the screen, at the start of Wednesday's proceedings, Rear Admiral Darcy E. Crandall produced a second audio cassette that held yet another Oval Office conversation which Donald Rumsfeld had secretly recorded. He told the three-officer tribunal panel that the tape, featuring the voices of Rumsfeld, George W. Bush, President, and Vice President Dick Cheney, was made approximately 5 days after the World Trade Towers crumbled to dust on September 11, 2001. On it, the defendant asked Dick Cheney for an approximate fatality count. Cheney responds, "Looks like it's a few more than we anticipated." President Bush, "How many more is a few?" Vice President Cheney, "So we don't know exactly, but it wouldn't be unreasonable to say somewhere between 6,500 to 7,000 in New York City." Bush, "What the heck? Dick, you said it would be a few thousand. That's like 2, not 6 or 7. Cheney, "We didn't expect that many people would be in the towers on an early Tuesday morning, George. And it's not like I could phone the planes and say, hey, we need you to cancel for today." President Bush, "I can't tell the country that 7,000 people died in New York. I'll never get reelected." Vice President Cheney, "We'll soften the blow by saying it's like 2,000 to 3,000. I think the nation can handle that." President Bush, "I wish we could say a few hundred." Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense, "That's pushing suspension of disbelief pretty far." President Bush, "If we say 3,000, how are we going to account for another 4,000 people? That's 4,000 families screaming to the media and anyone who will listen that their people died and weren't reported. That's crazy." Vice President Cheney, "We'll have to throw some people a bone." President Bush, That'll have to be one pretty big bone, Dick, and I don't want it chipping into my share." Vice President Cheney responded, "Trust me, I'll take care of it." Secretary of the Defense Donald Rumsfeld replied, "It'll be good for the economy. Thousands of new millionaires overnight." Well, Rear Admiral Crandall stopped the tape, and he asserted to the panel that the tyrannical trio not only planned 9/11, but also conspired to conceal an unbearable death toll for fear of losing political prestige. Cheney's Saudi and Israeli contacts, he said, stood to profit massively from the arrangement, and blaming the tragedy on first Osama bin Laden and then Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was a pretense for using the military of that era to both bomb the crap out of Afghanistan and seize 200,000 hectares of valuable opium fields. Bush's lawyer, David Offhauser, got to his feet. Quote, "What is this? You sound like you're endorsing the Taliban, Admiral." "No one's endorsing the Taliban, Mr. Offhauser, and they're not on trial here today, but your client, George W. Bush, is. The commission would appreciate it if you can refrain from more outbursts," Rear Admiral Crandall said. "Never in my legal career have I seen such malicious prosecution," Offhauser muttered. "I won't be silent. To stay quiet is a disservice to my client. This trial must be adjourned and moved to a different venue, not run by the U.S. military." His impassioned soliloquy prompted Rear Admiral Crandall to have him removed from the courtroom. The tribunal, he declared, would resume after a lunch recess. All right, that's the completion of that article in regards to former U.S. President, now deceased, U.S. President George W. Bush. And we'll get to his hanging here shortly. But again, all these articles, these incredible historical events, are not being kept from the American people. They're there on the public record, on the internet, on this website. But nobody advertises this website. Conservatives do not advertise this website. All these different conservative talk show hosts, from Mad Cow Muller to Alex Jones to Sean Hannity to even Tucker Carlson, they're not reporting what's happening behind the scenes at Guantanamo Bay as these military tribunals are taking place with deep state folks on trial for treason against their oath of office, against the American people, and against the United States Constitution. So that's what's so sad about this, is information's not getting out. So again, that's why this information is being narrated and recited from these articles taken from realrawnews.com, so that those on YouTube can have access to this information if they ever come across it. So we'll continue with this military tribunal for treason of now deceased former United States President George W. Bush, who also, if you read our book, The Rider of the White Horse, that the terror attacks of September 11th, 2001 was the trigger that opened the first seal of Revelation chapter 6, verse 2. The first seal of Revelation, the rider of the white horse, has been